Okay, now if you are a member of my channel, please go check the website, check Patreon, check YouTube community tab, because we had a Love and Hip Hop Miami live earlier, and we also went over the portion of Messy Mondays where Keisha quit Bell Collective by gagging Carlos King on his very own live. Okay. He did not know. He was shocked. He was appalled. He had to pick it up. Dustin did an excellent job, like just smoothing it over after. And the young lady, I think her name was Jazz, she did a great job with showing the shock and appall that was really taking place, because everybody was having fake smiles on their face when really it needed the shock and all look that was on her face. Okay. So we had fun discussing that. And what I did want to say that I forgot to say, the way Keisha quit the show, I think is indicative of how she feels about Carlos as a executive producer. And I believe that it coincides with a lot of people's experience and opinion on him as an executive producer to some of the women on these shows. And it reminds me of Tyler Perry, girl. It reminds me of Tyler Perry, because I yeah, my dog just came in here and completely took the whole little moment away from me. Just came in here, little feet just a tapping away. But it brings me to Tyler Perry, because Tyler Perry said that he went to therapy. I don't know why he been doing so many interviews. Oh yeah, because of the Netflix movie I'm not ready to watch because of the racial connotations. I'm not ready for the racism yet. But Tyler Perry is doing a press run for that movie on Netflix. It looks really good though. And I remember he said that he started therapy, and I was like, ooh, I hope that translates in his writing, because I personally believe whatever like internal issues that Tyler Perry has, like with his childhood, his mom, the women in his life, the men in his life, I think he works that out in his writing, which is why women are always being like, dragged through the gut. Okay, with him. Gutter. He's as big time as you can get. I've lived in Harlem all my life. I do know a rat when I see one. And that's not to say that he's a rat, but it is to say that I think he and Carlos both, the way they work is an extension of how they feel internally about women. I do. How they view them, what they feel like, women have to do in order to be saved at the end of the day, right? Because everything is a theme off of religion in one way or another. And everybody's always looking for somebody to come and save them. That's what a whole, princess thing, y'all know, damsel in distress, all of that comes from like needing somebody else to come in and save you from the perils of your life. And we adopt that as a mentality, as a culture. Okay, as a culture, girl. Okay, I might have took it a little deep on y'all right quick, but don't think too hard. Either way, Tyler Perry. Carlos brings me to Tyler Perry. And then this clip came out today. And I wanted to play the clip because I want to discuss. Also, before we discuss it though, please do not forget to sign up for the mailing group for Reset by Design Wellness. Y'all know that we're going to Bali in July. I literally just got off the phone with Taisha today discussing our flight arrangements, and I'm super duper excited because I believe we'll all be on the same flight going to Singapore. It's going to be amazing. I cannot wait to see my girls again. It's always a good time. It's always relaxing, rejuvenating, luxurious. You know what I'm saying? All of the things, girl. So if you want to be a part of the clique, Reset by Design Wellness, the link is down below in the description box for the second Bali trip. And follow us on Instagram, okay? And with that being said, girl, I cannot wait. Do you hear me? I cannot wait. Let's go ahead and get into what Tyler Perry said.
Did he give you his Christmas list? It's coming up.
He don't get no Christmas list.
What you talking about?
He gets two things. He gets books and Legos.
That's it?
He don't have a job. What else is he going to get? He wants more. He was complaining once. This is about 5 years ago. He was complaining about flying commercial because the lines were so long. And Galila and I were talking. She called me up. She's like, "We're not planning on your plane anymore." Like, okay, fine. So they have been going coach for years.
You letting your son go coach?
Absolutely, so that he understands. I worked. He did not.
Really?
So when he works, he can learn that lesson. Yeah. He's not gonna be one of those ridiculous poor rich kids. I can't stand that. No, he ain't got no money.
Now, see, Jeffrey, he flies in 36D, and I tell him, don't come bother me up in 2A.
That's right.
You stay right back there.
That's right.
I'm with you, Tyler, all the way.
Until Jeffrey gets enough money to buy his own 2A, 36D.
36D, that's where he's at. We are there. It's not Aman. Am I saying his name correctly?
Yeah.
Did he give you his Christmas list? It's coming up.
He don't get no Christmas list.
What you talking about?
He gets two things. He gets books and Legos.
That's it?
He don't have a job. What else is he gonna get?
Okay. There's an echo. Okay, I know there's an echo, y'all. It's StreamYard. It's not me. So it's really out of my control. I've heard the echo. Usually it kind of works itself out. But like it's fine. Y'all will be fine. Okay. From what I've heard on playbacks, it's really not that serious. Okay. But I appreciate y'all for telling me. Anyway, I'm gonna say that I see a lot of y'all in the comments have adopted my mindset about this in a way. And yeah, it does that for some reason, y'all. It'll start out echoing and then eventually it'll stop. That's why I say it's not in my control, because it's not anything like I'm doing. But yeah, Tyler Perry. You guys, I think that I understand where he's coming from, and I think it is extremely important, because we would listen. Y'all know how much it works on my nerves. Them damn children on Married to Medicine, those grown ass teenage boys that don't know how to clean up after themselves, don't know how to cook, because Simone and Cecil felt like them being the generation to have money meant that their children should not have to do certain things because they had to do it and they didn't like it. And it's like, but here's the thing. You have to teach your children how to take care of themselves. I believe, like, at a base level, I don't care how much money you have. I think you should always be teaching your kids how to take care of themselves on a human standpoint, meaning that they need to learn how to cook for themselves, clean up after themselves, do their own laundry, pay their own bills. Like, they need to learn to be responsible for themselves and not always look for somebody to do these things for them, or assume that you're going to have enough money to pay somebody to do those things for you just because your parents could. You see what I'm saying? So when I see what he's saying, I absolutely understand. And especially coming from New Orleans, I doubly understand. But I also feel like there is a straight face and a tone that makes me feel like he is probably hardened to his son on some level. And I think it comes from a space of trying to teach them, how hard life can be. But I often have to ask Black people specifically the question, what is the point of you having money only for yourself? Like, I'm not saying that you should create a spoiled, ungrateful brat in your kid. Like, I don't even care about him saying, oh, the child was complaining about how long it takes to get into first class, so you decided to put him in coach to punish him for being impatient. And then you get mad at him as if he's supposed to know that this is such a blessing for him to be in first class. If that's all he's ever known, of course he's not going to see it the way you see it, as somebody that was sleeping in a car. You know what I'm saying? Your kid is starting off with a father that's damn near a billionaire. And I think it's crazy to want to beat the kids over the head with the poverty that you fought to get out of. You see what I'm saying? Like, at some point, I feel like people are like trying to punish their kids because they want their kids so badly to have to deal with whatever they dealt with. Like, the kids can't possibly have a different life. They have to have gone through something so that they're not spoiled. And I just feel like on some level, it is giving you probably mean. Like, that's what I thought when I saw him and the way he straightened up. There was no, and this is just a clip, y'all. This is just a clip. I'm sure there were moments where he was talking about his son and it warmed up. But the way he instantly went to, oh, he don't get no Christmas list. He only get this and this. That's it. He ain't got no money. Like, I just don't like the way that sounds. Something about it just feels unnecessarily mean towards your child. Like, what are you mad because your child didn't have to grow up in poverty? Like, what is that about? Um, and also it made me think about how you will give gifts and you will give everybody else top tier gifts. That's not their money either. That's your money. But because you live in Hollywood and it's always a good idea to make other people in Hollywood feel special, you will don strangers or simple acquaintances or people that you work with. You will do all of that for them. You'll send them nice gifts. But when it comes to your kid, he can only get books and Legos as if there are no other options for toys out there. Like it's 2025. There are other options for toys. You know what I'm saying? And this mentality really reminds me of Mommy Dearest. I know a lot of y'all, I know a lot of my girls in here are old enough to remember Mommy Dearest. But if you don't know, Joan Crawford was an actress back in, the golden days of Hollywood. And the last of the big shouldered broads, her and Betty Davis did a lot of films together. So anyway, uh Joan Crawford adopted children and she was extremely rich and she wanted to present herself as somebody that was a philanthropist and that was so giving. It was a part of her image. So she adopts these children and it's like, oh, you adopted these poor children and you give them this wonderful life. But she would literally let them open up all their presents and then tell them they could only keep one and they had to give away the rest of their presents in order to teach them how to be humble. And I'm like, why even give them all of that if you're just going to take it away? To me, in some way, like you're trying to break your child's spirit when you do shit like that, even if you don't mean to. Um, so whenever I see a parent giving off that same energy the way Joan Crawford did with her kids, like the way it was in that movie, yeah, it often kind of gives me pause because it makes me feel like yes, no wire hangers ever. She beat the little girl, in the middle of the night. She was strapping the other little boy into the bed. Like, it was just all kind of shit that was going on that showed hella abuse. And I just wonder if, if he's mean, to his son, because his tone was just very cold. And I just was like, what's that about? And I also kind of recognize it. Like I recognize it. And like I said, we're both from New Orleans, so I feel like I understand what's going on in that moment as far as like, how they feel like being a disciplinarian is the most important thing about being a parent. And there is very much some truth to that. But I also feel like there needs to be approachable energy between you and your kid. And I feel like sometimes parents like to have this very, omnipotent, I'm above you energy with their children. And it puts them in this very, subservient energy to their parents. And it's just, it's a weird energy sometimes, I feel. It's internalized from slavery, punishment. Yes. It's always like, yes, very godlike. Instead of teaching, because I feel like parents take more of a slave owner thing with their kids, like the way police officers have, jurisdiction over people, like, thank you, sweetheart. Your authority figure, like that whole mentality versus you being an adult that's teaching a kid how to live through your own actions. I always say like it's wild to me how like a lot of people will expect their children to have the self-control that them as parents don't have. Like I've just noticed that. So yeah, I was just kind of looking at this situation a little bit differently, and it kind of made me, I don't know, it was just kind of cold. It was just kind of cold. He was talking about that kid, and it made me kind of wonder, like, I hope the kid's good, man. I hope that kid is okay. J Ray, thank you for the super chat. Yay, caught alive. Exactly. It's called a happy medium. Don't spoil them rotten, but nothing wrong with rewarding them with gifts on special occasions. And not even just that, but making them become accustomed that you are of access and wealth and prestige. Like I have worked this hard for you to have this, but you also need to value it because I had to work so hard for it. And you know, you do make sure that they give away things to people, things that they no longer play with and stuff like that. You make them give things away, especially if they still in really great condition. Y'all know rich kids, you know, if they toys still good, child, you better get that shit to somebody less fortunate. I didn't grow up feeling like I wouldn't take secondhand. Also, I would give. You know what I'm saying? So like when I was growing up, I was made to give my toys away that I didn't want anymore. They were all in excellent condition, honey. And I felt sad about it, but my mom and dad were like, "You're older. You're not playing with these anymore, and we're gonna give them to, you know, one of my mom's friends who had like a whole bunch of kids that were really young." And I was like, "Okay." So I go with them and we drop all of the stuff off. And it did make me feel good about myself. It did make me feel good about the kids having a good time with something that was of mine, you know, and me giving it away to them gave them joy. That made me feel good. So like you can teach your kids these lessons without not allowing them to reap the benefits of being your kid. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, you know, we'll see how it all plays out, child. But that was Tyler Perry, girl. Let's move on.